This question comes from, well, everyone who's ever had a nightmare about lava. What would happen if every single volcano on Earth erupted on the same day? And I don't just mean the famous ones like Vesuvius, Fuji, or that Icelandic one nobody can pronounce. I mean all of them. The obvious conical mountains, the underwater seamounts, the ones buried under ice sheets, and even those sleepy, probably extinct volcanoes your local tourism board swears are perfectly safe. First, let's clarify. There are about 1,350 potentially active volcanoes on land right now, plus tens of thousands on the ocean floor. If they all decided to go off at once, it would release an amount of energy that makes nuclear arsenals look like sparklers. The first thing we'd notice is the noise. The combined roar of explosions, rock fracturing, and magma jets would be the loudest sound in human history. You'd hear it everywhere. Yes, everywhere, even in your soundproof gaming room. Then comes the ash. Even a single major eruption can throw ash tens of kilometers into the atmosphere. Multiply that by thousands, and the entire planet's sky would turn a thick, angry gray within hours. Air travel? Cancelled. Solar power? Forget it. Your cozy afternoon sunlight would be replaced by something between a heavy overcast and an apocalyptic blackout. Breathing outdoors would be a bad idea, unless you enjoy the taste of finely ground rock in your lungs. Lava flows would start pouring across landscapes everywhere. Most wouldn't move very fast. You could technically outrun many of them, but when there are hundreds of them coming from all directions, your options start to run out. Rivers of molten rock would carve through cities, forests, and farms, releasing huge amounts of toxic gas as they incinerate everything in their path. Now here's where things get worse: underwater volcanoes. When these go off, they flash vast amounts of seawater into steam, creating massive pressure waves. Tsunamis would roll out across oceans at jetliner speeds. Coastlines on every continent would be hit within hours. Low-lying island nations? Gone. Your favorite beach resort? Now an inland coral reef. The global climate would change almost instantly. Volcanoes eject not just ash, but sulfur dioxide, which forms reflective aerosols in the stratosphere. Even a single eruption like Mount Pinatubo in 1991 cooled the planet by about half a degree Celsius for a couple of years. Our all-at-once scenario? You're looking at a sudden, massive temperature drop, potentially 10 degrees or more in the first year. Crops would fail worldwide, not because of heat, but because there wouldn't be enough sunlight. The year without a summer, in 1816, would look like a tropical vacation compared to this. The oceans would also take a hit. All that ash and debris raining down would smother marine ecosystems, while acid rain from volcanic gases would disrupt food chains on land and at sea. Coral reefs, plankton blooms, and most shallow water life would collapse. Fisheries would vanish. Humanity's grocery list would get very short, very fast. And then there's the psychological effect. Imagine the chaos: communication networks overloaded, emergency services overwhelmed, governments scrambling just to keep basic order. People would start hoarding whatever food and clean water they could find. And yes, someone would try to live stream it all until their internet went out. Could humanity survive this? Technically, yes. Small groups in certain regions might endure, especially in areas with stockpiled food and shelter from the cold. Underground bunkers would suddenly become prime real estate. But civilization as we know it? That would be a much harder sell. Cities rely on global supply chains, stable climates, and infrastructure that lava, ash, and earthquakes don't exactly respect. There might be some unexpected winners in this scenario. For example, Antarctica would be relatively lava-free in most areas, making it ironically one of the safer places to be, assuming you can handle the cold, the lack of food, and the penguins judging your every move. Space stations would also be fine, until they had to come back down. And if you're wondering about the good news, well, the sunsets would be spectacular. Volcanic ash in the atmosphere scatters light into incredible reds and purples. So if you can find a safe place and don't mind freezing, you could enjoy the prettiest end of the world humanity has ever seen. Of course, given the choice between breathtaking sunsets and actually breathing, most of us would probably pick the latter. So here's hoping all the world's volcanoes continue to stick to their own unpredictable schedules, and not one very, very bad day.